From a young age, Eric Park was different. While other children were engrossed in games and cartoons, Eric found his fascination elsewhere, in the complexities of the human brain. His parents would often find him buried in medical books, diagrams of neural pathways spread out around him. By the time he was in high school, Eric's passion had transformed into a clear ambition. He wanted to become a neurologist. Eric's journey through medical school was nothing short of remarkable. He breezed through courses that others found challenging. His professors often left in awe of his insightful questions and deep understanding. Eric didn't just want to learn about the brain. He wanted to unlock its secrets and alleviate the suffering caused by chronic pain. This drive set him apart, making him a standout student, even among the brightest. During his residency, Eric's brilliance continued to shine. He was the go-to resident for complex cases, always ready to tackle the toughest challenges with a calm demeanor and a sharp mind. It wasn't long before he was recognized for his innovative approaches to pain management, earning the respect and admiration of both peers and senior doctors. Eric's future seemed destined for greatness, a prodigy on the path to becoming one of the foremost neurologists of his time. Eric Park's fascination with the nervous system was more than a mere interest. It was an all-consuming passion. He spent countless hours in the library, captivated by the intricate networks of neurons and synapses that made up the human brain. To Eric, the brain was a puzzle, each piece more intriguing than the last. He would lose himself in the study of neuroanatomy, often staying up late into the night, fueled by an insatiable curiosity. During his college years, Eric's obsession deepened. He participated in every possible research opportunity, eager to immerse himself in the latest neurological discoveries. His professors quickly noticed his fervor, often describing him as a sponge, soaking up every bit of knowledge with an unmatched eagerness. Eric's dorm room became a shrine to the brain, filled with models, charts, and medical texts. One summer, Eric secured an internship at a renowned neurological research center. It was there that he witnessed the real-world application of his studies, observing groundbreaking surgeries and treatments. He watched in awe as patients, once debilitated by chronic pain, found relief through innovative techniques. These experiences only solidified his resolve. Eric knew that he was destined to make a significant impact in the field of neurology. Eric's passion was not just academic. He was driven by a deep empathy for those who suffered. He volunteered at local clinics, offering his growing expertise to help those in need. It was during these moments, seeing the gratitude in the eyes of his patients, that Eric truly understood the power and responsibility of his chosen path. This blend of intellectual pursuit and heartfelt compassion would become the cornerstone of his career, guiding him through the challenges and triumphs that lay ahead. Eric Park's promising career took an unexpected turn when he found himself embroiled in a high-profile medical case. It all began with a patient named Marcus, a well-known public figure suffering from an elusive and excruciating neurological condition. Eric was brought in for his expertise, tasked with diagnosing and alleviating Marcus's debilitating pain. The media frenzy surrounding Marcus's condition was intense. Cameras flashed and reporters clamored for updates every time Eric entered the hospital. Despite the pressure, Eric remained focused. He meticulously reviewed Marcus's medical history, conducted a battery of tests, and applied his innovative diagnostic methods. The complexity of the case challenged even his extraordinary skills, but Eric was determined to find answers. Days turned into weeks, and Marcus's condition showed little improvement. The public grew restless, and whispers of doubt began to circulate. Eric, usually composed and confident, started to feel the weight of the scrutiny. He doubled down on his efforts, poring over medical journals and consulting with colleagues around the clock. He knew that finding the right treatment was not just about his reputation. It was about relieving a human being's suffering. Then a complication arose. Marcus's condition suddenly worsened, and Eric's decisions came under fire. Critics accused him of negligence, claiming that his unconventional methods had exacerbated the situation. The hospital administration, bowing to public pressure, suspended Eric pending an investigation. Overnight, he went from being hailed as a prodigy to being portrayed as a pariah. Eric's world crumbled. The media, relentless in their pursuit of a sensational story, painted him as reckless and irresponsible. He watched in disbelief as his career, built on years of dedication and hard work, seemed to disintegrate before his eyes. But amidst the chaos and despair, Eric's resolve hardened. He knew the truth and was determined to clear his name, no matter the cost. The suspension hit Eric Park harder than he could have ever imagined. The hospital's corridors, once filled with admiration for his brilliance, now buzzed with whispered accusations. The media didn't hold back, turning his once sterling reputation into a story of scandal and failure. Eric found himself isolated, the weight of the unjust accusation pressing heavily on his shoulders. He was accused of negligence in Marcus's case, with claims that his innovative treatments had pushed the patient to the brink. It felt surreal to Eric. He had always been meticulous and compassionate, driven by a desire to heal. How could it have come to this? The investigation was grueling. Eric was subjected to intense scrutiny, every decision and action dissected by a panel of experts. His peers, once allies, now kept their distance, wary of being associated with him. Eric's family and close friends stood by him, offering support, but even they couldn't shield him from the pervasive sense of betrayal and loss. Each day brought new challenges. The media continued to hound him, their sensational headlines fueling public outrage. Eric couldn't escape the feeling of being hunted, his privacy shattered by the relentless pursuit of a story. Despite the external chaos, Eric's mind remained sharp, replaying the details of Marcus's treatment, searching for any misstep that might have led to this disaster. In the quiet moments, doubt began to creep in. Eric questioned his own judgment, wondering if perhaps he had missed something, made an error in his desperation to help. But deep down, he knew that the accusations were unfounded. His methods had always been rooted in science and empathy, aimed at providing relief where traditional approaches had failed. Determined to fight back, Eric hired a legal team and began to gather evidence to clear his name. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was driven by an unyielding belief in his integrity and the truth. The battle ahead was daunting, but Eric was resolute. He wouldn't let an unjust accusation define his career or his life. When the official notice of suspension arrived, it felt like a punch to the gut. Eric Park, once celebrated as a prodigy in neurology, was now stripped of his ability to practice medicine. The board's decision to suspend his license was swift and merciless, a direct response to the public outcry and the ongoing investigation. The days that followed were some of the darkest Eric had ever faced. His routine, once filled with the purposeful hustle of hospital rounds and patient consultations, was now eerily empty. The absence of his daily work left a void, one that echoed with the loss of not just his profession but his very identity. Eric had dedicated his life to understanding and treating pain, and now he was left with nothing but his own. Everywhere he turned, he encountered reminders of his fall from grace. The stares of former colleagues, the murmurs in the coffee shops near the hospital, the pitying glances from those who once admired him, all of it compounded his sense of isolation. He tried to find solace in the mundane tasks of everyday life, but nothing could fill the emptiness left by his forced departure from medicine. Despite the overwhelming sense of loss, Eric refused to succumb to despair. He channeled his frustration into a relentless pursuit of knowledge. He immersed himself in research, poring over medical journals and the latest studies on pain management. Eric knew that he needed to stay sharp to keep evolving his understanding of neurology, even if he wasn't currently allowed to practice. The support of his family and close friends became his lifeline. They stood by him, providing the strength and encouragement he needed to navigate this turbulent period. His parents, always his biggest supporters, reminded him of his resilience and his capacity for overcoming adversity. Their unwavering belief in his innocence and talent fueled his determination to fight back. Eric also found unexpected solace in mentoring Lily Kim, a young neurology resident who sought his guidance. Their conversations about medical cases and innovative treatments reignited his passion, reminding him of the impact he could still have. Through Lily, Eric saw a reflection of his younger self, driven, curious, and unyieldingly dedicated to the field of neurology. Suspension had taken away his license, but it hadn't extinguished his spirit. Eric knew that this was just a chapter in his story, not the end. He was resolved to clear his name, reclaim his license, and return to doing what he loved most, healing those in pain. The journey ahead was fraught with challenges, but Eric was ready to face them head-on, armed with knowledge, determination, and an unshakable belief in his mission. Suspension brought an eerie stillness to Eric's life, one that he hadn't experienced in years. Without the constant buzz of hospital life, he found himself with ample time to reflect. At first, the silence was suffocating, filled with the echoes of what-ifs and regrets. But slowly, Eric began to see this period as an unexpected gift, a chance to reevaluate his journey and reignite his purpose. Eric retreated to his family's cabin in the mountains, seeking solace in the tranquility of nature. Away from the chaos and scrutiny, he found a space where he could think clearly. Each morning, he would hike through the forest, the rhythmic crunch of leaves underfoot grounding him in the present. The fresh mountain air filled his lungs, and he felt a gradual lightness return to his spirit. During these hikes, Eric often recalled his early fascination with the nervous system, the sheer wonder that had driven him to pursue neurology. He remembered the nights spent studying neural pathways, the excitement of his first successful diagnosis, and the deep satisfaction of easing a patient's pain. These memories served as a reminder of why he had chosen this path and reinforced his resolve to continue it. Eric also delved into meditation, something he had never found time for in his hectic schedule. The practice brought him a sense of inner peace and clarity. As he sat in stillness, he confronted his doubts and fears, acknowledging them without judgment. Through this process, Eric discovered a deeper understanding of himself and his resilience. He realized that his passion for neurology was unshakable, a core part of his identity that no suspension could take away. In the evenings, Eric would sit by the fireplace with a stack of medical journals and research papers. He stayed updated on the latest advancements in neurology, eager to learn and grow. He corresponded with former colleagues, discussing complex cases and exchanging ideas. This intellectual engagement kept his mind sharp and his spirit hopeful. One night, as he pored over a particularly intriguing study on a new pain management technique, an idea sparked in Eric's mind. It was a novel approach that combined elements of neurology and psychology, something he had been toying with for years. The more he explored this idea, the more excited he became. It was groundbreaking, a potential game-changer for chronic pain treatment. Eric's time in suspension, initially seen as a punishment, transformed into a period of profound growth and innovation. He emerged from it not as a man broken by unjust accusations, but as one reinvigorated by the clarity of his purpose and the fire of his passion. The world outside might still be filled with challenges, but Eric was ready to face them, armed with newfound insights and an unyielding determination to heal. During his suspension, Eric Park's mind became a crucible of innovation. Freed from the daily demands of hospital life, he poured his energy into developing new methods of treatment for chronic pain. His research led him to explore the cutting-edge intersection of neurology, psychology, and technology, areas that held promising but untapped potential. Eric's initial breakthrough came from a deep dive into neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. He theorized that by harnessing this ability, it might be possible to retrain the brain to manage and reduce chronic pain. He began experimenting with various techniques, combining cognitive behavioral therapy with advanced neurofeedback mechanisms. His workspace transformed into a mini-laboratory. Computers, EEG machines, and an array of medical texts covered every surface. Eric spent countless hours running simulations, analyzing data, and refining his approaches. He collaborated remotely with experts in various fields, from neuroscientists to psychologists, integrating their insights into his work. Despite the isolation of his suspension, Eric felt more connected to the global medical community than ever before. One particularly promising method involved using virtual reality to immerse patients in controlled environments designed to reduce pain perception. Eric developed scenarios that would engage different parts of the brain, distracting from the pain and promoting relaxation and healing. The preliminary results were astonishing. Patients reported significant reductions in pain intensity and improvements in their overall quality of life. Another innovative approach focused on mindfulness and meditation, but with a twist. Eric created a program that guided patients through deep relaxation techniques while simultaneously providing real-time feedback on their brain activity. This allowed patients to see the immediate impact of their mental state on their pain levels, empowering them to take control of their treatment. Eric's most revolutionary idea, however, was a device he called the Neuromod. This small, wearable gadget used non-invasive electrical stimulation to target specific neural pathways associated with chronic pain. Early trials showed remarkable success, with patients experiencing sustained relief without the need for medication. The Neuromod had the potential to transform pain management, offering a new lease on life for those who had endured years of suffering. As Eric prepared to present his findings to the medical board, he knew that these new methods were more than just treatments. They were symbols of his resilience and ingenuity. He had turned his darkest days into a period of profound discovery, driven by his unwavering commitment to alleviate pain and improve lives. The journey ahead was still fraught with challenges, but Eric was ready to face them, confident in the transformative power of his work. When the day finally came for Eric Park to return to the hospital, it was both daunting and exhilarating. As he walked through the familiar doors, a flood of memories and emotions hit him. The sterile smell of antiseptic, the hum of bustling corridors, the soft beeping of monitors, all reminders of the world he had been forced to leave behind. But now he was back, and he was ready to reclaim his place. His first steps into the neurology department were met with a mix of curious glances and tentative smiles. Some colleagues greeted him warmly, their expressions conveying a sense of relief and support. Others were more reserved, still uncertain about the events that had led to his suspension. Eric understood their hesitations. Trust had to be rebuilt. Dr. Lily Kim, his former mentee, was the first to embrace him. "Welcome back, Dr. Park," she said, her eyes shining with genuine admiration. "We've missed you." Her words brought a warmth to Eric's heart. It was a small but significant validation of his journey and the battles he had fought. Eric's return was not just about resuming his duties. It was about proving himself all over again. He dove headfirst into the cases that had piled up in his absence. His office, untouched since he left, still had his notes and research papers scattered across the desk. He quickly familiarized himself with the latest patient files, eager to apply the new methods he had developed during his suspension. The first patient he treated was a middle-aged woman named Karen, who had been suffering from chronic migraines for years. Traditional treatments had failed her, and she was desperate for relief. Eric introduced her to the neuromod, explaining how it could potentially rewire the pain pathways in her brain. With her consent, they began the treatment, and within weeks, Karen experienced a dramatic reduction in her pain. Her tears of gratitude were a powerful reminder of why Eric had chosen this path. News of Eric's successful treatments spread quickly through the hospital. Colleagues who had once doubted him began to take notice. He shared his innovative approaches during department meetings, and soon, his methods were being adopted by other doctors. Eric wasn't just back. He was leading a quiet revolution in pain management. Despite the professional triumphs, Eric remained humble. He knew that his journey was far from over. The scars of the past lingered, but they served as a reminder of his resilience and determination. Every patient he helped, every life he touched, reinforced his commitment to his mission. Eric Park had returned to the hospital not just as a neurologist but as a beacon of hope, armed with new tools to fight the relentless battle against chronic pain. The first encounter between Eric Park and Dr. Lily Kim was destined to be memorable. It was Lily's first day as a resident in the neurology department, and she was both nervous and excited. The stories of Dr. Park's brilliance and his recent return had spread like wildfire, and she couldn't wait to meet the man who had become somewhat of a legend. Lily was engrossed in a stack of patient files when she heard a voice behind her. "You must be Dr. Kim. Welcome to the team." She turned to see Eric, his presence commanding yet approachable. He extended his hand, and Lily shook it, her nervousness giving way to admiration. "Thank you, Dr. Park. It's an honor to work with you," Lily replied, trying to keep her composure. Eric smiled warmly. "Call me Eric. We're colleagues, after all. I've heard great things about you, too." The ice broken, they quickly dove into work. Eric was methodical and patient, taking time to explain complex concepts and encouraging Lily to ask questions. He didn't just teach her about the science of neurology. He imparted the importance of empathy and listening to patients. Lily was struck by how deeply Eric cared for each patient's story, seeing them not just as cases but as people. Their first major case together involved a young boy named Jake, who had been experiencing severe, unexplained headaches. His parents were desperate, having consulted multiple doctors without finding any answers. Eric and Lily reviewed Jake's history and ran a series of tests. Eric's innovative approach involved using one of his newly developed techniques, combining neurofeedback and virtual reality therapy. Lily watched in awe as Eric interacted with Jake, making the boy feel at ease. Eric's gentle demeanor and reassuring words had a noticeable impact, calming both Jake and his anxious parents. They began the treatment, and within days, Jake's headaches started to diminish. The joy and relief on his parents' faces were palpable, and it was a powerful moment for Lily. That evening, as they were wrapping up for the day, Lily couldn't contain her gratitude. "Eric, today was incredible. Watching you work, seeing the difference you make, it's truly inspiring." Eric looked at her thoughtfully. "Thank you, Lily. Remember, it's not just about the medicine. It's about connecting with our patients, understanding their pain, and doing everything we can to help them. That's what makes us good doctors." From that day on, A strong bond formed between Eric and Lily. She became his eager protege, absorbing every lesson and striving to emulate his compassionate approach. Eric, in turn, found in Lily a reminder of his younger self, full of potential and driven by a genuine desire to heal. Together, they were a formidable team, united by a shared mission to alleviate suffering and bring hope to those in pain. The first major challenge that Eric and Lily faced together came sooner than expected. A patient named Thomas was admitted to the hospital with a severe and puzzling condition. He was a retired firefighter who had developed chronic pain that left him bedridden and unresponsive to traditional treatments. His case was a labyrinth of symptoms that no one had been able to unravel. Eric and Lily took on the case with a sense of urgency and determination. Thomas's medical history was extensive, filled with countless visits to different specialists and a long list of medications that had failed to provide relief. Eric knew that solving this case would require more than just conventional wisdom. It would require innovation and a deep understanding of both the physical and psychological aspects of pain. They started with a thorough reevaluation of Thomas's condition. Eric conducted a series of detailed neurological examinations while Lily meticulously gathered every piece of information from Thomas's past treatments. They spent hours in the lab, analyzing data and discussing potential diagnoses. The complexity of the case was daunting, but Eric's calm and methodical approach kept them focused. Days turned into weeks, and Thomas showed little improvement. Frustration began to mount, but Eric remained steadfast. He introduced Thomas to a new treatment protocol he had been developing, which combined advanced neurostimulation with personalized physical therapy. It was uncharted territory, but Eric believed in its potential. Lily worked closely with Thomas, guiding him through the therapy sessions and monitoring his progress. She developed a close rapport with him, learning about his life as a firefighter, his family, and the emotional toll of his condition. Eric encouraged this connection, knowing that understanding Thomas's pain meant understanding his story. One night, after a particularly challenging day, Eric and Lily stayed late at the hospital, reviewing their notes and discussing new strategies. "We're missing something," Lily said, her voice tinged with frustration. Eric nodded, deep in thought. "Pain is often more than just a physical symptom. We need to dig deeper." The breakthrough came unexpectedly. Eric realized that Thomas's chronic pain might be linked to a traumatic event he had experienced as a firefighter. They decided to incorporate trauma-informed therapy into his treatment plan, addressing both his physical pain and the underlying emotional scars. The results were remarkable. Gradually, Thomas began to show signs of improvement. His pain levels decreased and he regained some mobility. For the first time in years, he felt a glimmer of hope. Eric and Lily's innovative and compassionate approach had uncovered the root of his suffering, leading to a significant breakthrough. Thomas's case became a pivotal moment for Eric and Lily. It reinforced the importance of a holistic approach to medicine, one that considered the full spectrum of a patient's experience. It also cemented their partnership, proving that together, they could tackle even the most challenging cases. This victory was not just a testament to their skills, but to their unwavering commitment to their patients. Eric's successful handling of Thomas's case began to shift perceptions within the hospital. Slowly, the whispers of doubt were replaced by nods of respect. But rebuilding his reputation was no small feat. It required consistent excellence and unwavering dedication. One of the first steps Eric took was to present his findings and new treatment protocols to his peers. In a packed conference room, he detailed the innovative methods he had used with Thomas, emphasizing the importance of addressing both physical and psychological aspects of chronic pain. The room was filled with skepticism, but as Eric spoke, he could see the gears turning in the minds of his colleagues. Lily played a crucial role during these presentations, sharing her first-hand experiences and observations. Her testimony about Thomas's transformation was powerful, illustrating the real-world impact of their methods. Gradually, the initial skepticism began to fade, replaced by genuine interest and curiosity. Eric also focused on mentoring young doctors and residents, just as he had with Lily. He believed that the future of medicine lay in the hands of these eager minds, and he was determined to equip them with the knowledge and compassion needed to make a difference. His mentorship sessions were dynamic and interactive, often involving case studies and open discussions about the latest advancements in neurology and pain management. Word of Eric's work began to spread beyond the hospital walls. Medical journals started to take notice, and soon, he was invited to speak at national and international conferences. Each presentation was an opportunity to showcase his groundbreaking methods and share his journey from disgrace to redemption. Eric's story resonated with many, not just because of the innovative science, but because it was a tale of resilience and the relentless pursuit of truth. Back at the hospital, Eric and Lily continued to achieve remarkable results with their patients. Each success story further solidified Eric's reputation as a leading expert in neurology and chronic pain treatment. Patients who had lost hope found solace in his methods, and their testimonials began to create a ripple effect, attracting more cases and garnering more attention. Despite these professional triumphs, Eric remained humble. He knew that trust was built one patient at a time, and he never lost sight of the individual stories behind each case. His dedication to listening, understanding, and treating every person with dignity and empathy became the hallmark of his practice. Eric's journey of rebuilding his reputation was not just about regaining professional respect. It was about reaffirming his commitment to his calling. He had faced the depths of despair and emerged stronger, guided by a profound sense of purpose. Through his tireless work and unyielding integrity, Eric Park transformed his past mistakes into a foundation for future success, proving that true redemption is achieved through compassion, innovation, and unwavering dedication to the betterment of others. Sophia's case was like nothing Eric Park had encountered before. A vibrant young artist, Sophia was suddenly struck by an inexplicable and debilitating pain that seemed to migrate throughout her body. She had seen numerous specialists, each baffled by her symptoms. When she arrived at Eric's clinic, she was exhausted, both physically and emotionally, her zest for life overshadowed by constant agony. Eric and Lily took on Sophia's case with their usual thoroughness and empathy. They started with extensive interviews, listening to Sophia describe her pain, its patterns, and how it affected her daily life. Eric could see the toll it had taken on her. The sparkle in her eyes was dimmed by the relentless struggle against her unseen tormentor. The initial tests and scans revealed little. Eric decided to employ his holistic approach, combining advanced neurological assessments with psychological evaluations. He suspected that Sophia's pain might be linked to an undiagnosed neurological disorder or a complex interaction between her mind and body. It was a puzzle, and Eric was determined to solve it. Days turned into weeks as Eric and Lily meticulously worked through every possible angle. They used cutting-edge neuroimaging techniques to look for any anomalies in Sophia's brain activity. Eric also introduced her to a combination of therapies, including mindfulness, neurofeedback, and a tailored pain management regimen. One day, during a particularly intensive session, Sophia mentioned something that caught Eric's attention. She spoke about a traumatic event from her past, one that she had never fully confronted. Eric realized that her mysterious pain might be psychosomatic, a manifestation of unresolved trauma. He decided to bring in a trauma specialist to work alongside them, integrating trauma-focused therapy into her treatment plan. The breakthrough came during one of these sessions. As Sophia began to process her trauma, she noticed subtle changes in her pain levels. Eric and Lily adjusted her treatment accordingly, focusing on both the neurological and psychological aspects of her condition. Slowly but surely, Sophia started to improve. It was a long and challenging journey, but Sophia's resilience and Eric's relentless dedication began to pay off. She regained her strength and, more importantly, her hope. The pain that had once dominated her life receded, allowing her to return to her art with renewed passion. Sophia's case was a testament to the power of a comprehensive, empathetic approach to medicine. Eric's ability to see beyond the physical symptoms and address the deeper, underlying issues made all the difference. For Sophia, it was nothing short of miraculous. As she stood in Eric's office, ready to face the world anew, Sophia's eyes sparkled once more. "Thank you, Dr. Park," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "You didn't just treat my pain. You gave me my life back." Eric smiled, knowing that Sophia's words were the greatest validation of his work. It was moments like these that reminded him why he had chosen this path and why he would continue to fight for every patient, no matter how mysterious or challenging their case might be. Despite his growing list of successful cases, Eric Park still faced pockets of distrust within the hospital. Some colleagues couldn't shake off the memory of his past suspension, and there were whispers that perhaps his innovative methods were too unorthodox. Eric knew that winning over these skeptics would be one of his greatest challenges yet. The opportunity to address this came when a fellow neurologist, Dr. James Roberts, approached him with a particularly difficult case. Dr. Roberts had always been one of Eric's most vocal critics, skeptical skeptical of his unconventional approaches. But now, he found himself at a loss with a patient who defied all traditional treatments. The patient, Sarah, was a middle-aged woman suffering from debilitating cluster headaches. These were no ordinary headaches. They were excruciating attacks that left her incapacitated for hours, sometimes days. Standard medications and therapies had done little to alleviate her suffering, and Dr. Roberts was running out of options. Eric saw this as a crucial moment to bridge the gap between him and his skeptical peers. He agreed to take on Sarah's case, but only if Dr. Roberts worked with him closely throughout the process. Reluctantly, Dr. Roberts agreed, and together they began an exhaustive review of Sarah's medical history. Eric introduced Dr. Roberts to his multifaceted approach, combining neurological, psychological, and lifestyle factors into a comprehensive treatment plan. He proposed a new regimen that included targeted neurostimulation, biofeedback, and a strict dietary and sleep schedule tailored to mitigate the triggers of Sarah's headaches. Initially, Dr. Roberts was wary. He questioned Eric's methods at every step, concerned that they were too experimental and not grounded in conventional practice. But as they proceeded, he couldn't deny the detailed logic behind Eric's approach and the meticulous care he took in explaining each decision. Sarah's progress was slow but steady. Eric and Dr. Roberts monitored her closely, adjusting treatments as needed and noting every improvement. Over weeks, Sarah began to experience fewer and less intense headache episodes. Her quality of life improved dramatically, and she started to regain her independence. Witnessing Sarah's transformation had a profound impact on Dr. Roberts. He saw firsthand the effectiveness of Eric's methods and the depth of his compassion for his patients. More importantly, he saw that Eric's success wasn't just about unconventional techniques. It was about a holistic understanding of medicine and an unwavering commitment to patient care. One evening, after a particularly successful session with Sarah, Dr. Roberts approached Eric. "I have to admit," he said, "I was wrong about you. Your methods are unconventional, but they work, and your dedication to your patients is inspiring." Eric smiled, feeling a weight lift off his shoulders. "Thank you, James. I'm glad we could work together on this. There's still so much we can learn from each other." This collaboration marked a turning point. Dr. Roberts' newfound respect for Eric began to ripple through the hospital, gradually eroding the walls of distrust. Eric's battle wasn't just against medical challenges. It was against the skepticism that had shadowed his return. But with each patient he helped and each skeptic he won over, he reaffirmed his place in the medical community, not just as a brilliant neurologist, but as a trusted and respected healer. One of the most profound ethical challenges Eric faced came with the arrival of a new patient, Emily, a teenager suffering from a rare neurological disorder. Emily's condition caused her constant, excruciating pain, leaving her unable to lead a normal life. Her parents, desperate for a solution, had heard of Eric's innovative treatments and placed their hopes in his hands. Eric's initial assessments confirmed the severity of Emily's condition. Standard treatments had failed, and the situation was dire. As he delved deeper into her case, Eric identified a potential experimental treatment that could offer relief. It involved a highly risky procedure that had shown promise in early trials but had not yet received full regulatory approval. Emily's parents were willing to try anything, but Eric faced a moral quandary. The experimental procedure held potential benefits, but it also carried significant risks, including the possibility of worsening Emily's condition. Eric knew that any decision he made would have profound consequences for Emily's future and for his own ethical integrity as a doctor. Eric gathered a team of specialists, including ethicists and legal advisors, to discuss the potential treatment. They debated the risks and benefits, considering both the medical implications and the ethical responsibilities. The discussions were intense, with no clear consensus. One evening, Eric sat with Emily and her parents in his office. He explained the situation in detail, outlining the possible outcomes and the inherent uncertainties. Emily, despite her youth, listened intently. Her eyes, filled with pain but also with a spark of determination, met Eric's. "I just want a chance to live my life," she said softly. "I know it's risky, but I trust you, Dr. Park." Her words struck a chord deep within Eric. He saw in her the same determination that had driven him through his darkest days. After much contemplation, Eric decided to proceed with the experimental treatment, but only after obtaining full informed consent from Emily and her parents. ensuring they understood every aspect of the decision. The day of the procedure was fraught with tension. Eric meticulously planned every step, double-checking the protocols and preparing for any potential complications. The operating room was filled with a quiet intensity, every team member aware of the high stakes. Hours later, the procedure was complete. The initial results were promising, but the real test would be in the days and weeks that followed. Eric visited Emily daily, monitoring her progress and adjusting her treatment as needed. Slowly, Emily began to show signs of improvement. Her pain lessened, and she started to regain her strength. The ethical challenge had tested Eric in ways he hadn't anticipated. It reinforced the complexities of medical practice, where decisions often straddled the line between hope and risk. Emily's case became a pivotal moment in Eric's career, not just for the medical success, but for the profound ethical considerations it entailed. As Emily walked out of the hospital, her smile radiant, Eric knew that the journey was far from over. He had navigated the ethical labyrinth with care, guided by compassion and a steadfast commitment to his patients. This experience deepened his understanding of the delicate balance between innovation and responsibility, shaping him into not just a better doctor, but a more thoughtful and ethical human being. Lily Kim had always looked up to Eric Park as a mentor and guide. Under his tutelage, she had grown into a confident and skilled neurologist, learning not just the intricacies of medical practice, but also the deep compassion required to truly heal patients. However, there came a day when Lily had to make a significant decision on her own, a moment that would define her career. The case involved a young man named Alex, who had been admitted to the hospital with severe, unexplained seizures. Despite extensive testing, the cause of his condition remained elusive. Eric was out of town attending a conference, leaving Lily to handle the case in his absence. It was a daunting responsibility, but one she was prepared to face. Lily started by reviewing Alex's history, consulting with other specialists, and conducting a series of advanced diagnostic tests. She spent hours by his bedside, talking to his family and observing his condition. Alex's seizures were debilitating, and his family was desperate for answers. The pressure was immense, but Lily remained calm and focused. After days of meticulous investigation, Lily identified a rare neurological disorder as the potential cause of Alex's seizures. The treatment for this condition was experimental and carried risks, similar to the ethical dilemma Eric had faced with Emily. Lily knew that making the right decision was critical, and she felt the weight of the responsibility on her shoulders. She called a meeting with the hospital's ethics committee, presenting her findings and proposed treatment plan. The committee members were impressed by her thoroughness, but also voiced their concerns about the risks involved. Lily listened carefully, weighing their input against her own clinical judgment. With Eric away, Lily had to rely on her own instincts and the lessons she had learned under his mentorship. She decided to proceed with the experimental treatment, but only after having a candid conversation with Alex and his family. She explained the potential benefits and risks, ensuring they understood the gravity of the decision. Alex's parents were understandably anxious, but they placed their trust in Lily's expertise. With their consent, Lily initiated the treatment. The following days were intense, with Lily closely monitoring Alex's progress and making real-time adjustments to his care. She barely left his side, her dedication unwavering. Gradually, Alex's condition began to improve. The seizures became less frequent and less severe. The treatment was working, and the relief on his parents' faces was palpable. When Eric returned and reviewed the case, he was deeply impressed by Lily's handling of the situation. She had demonstrated exceptional clinical skill, sound judgment, and a compassionate approach to patient care. "Lily, you've done an outstanding job," Eric said, pride evident in his voice. "You've proven yourself to be not just a capable doctor, but a true healer." Lily's first major decision marked a turning point in her career. It was a moment of growth, validation, and profound satisfaction. She had navigated the complexities of a challenging case with grace and competence, emerging stronger and more confident. For Lily, it was not just about making the right medical choice. It was about embracing the full responsibility of being a doctor, one who balances science with empathy, knowledge with compassion. Eric Park's journey toward redemption was a long and arduous one, marked by setbacks, triumphs, and relentless dedication. After years of rebuilding his career and reputation, he faced a moment that would solidify his redemption not only in the eyes of his peers but also within himself. The case that brought this moment was that of Mr. Thompson, a former professional athlete who had been suffering from debilitating chronic pain for over a decade. Numerous doctors had tried and failed to provide him relief, and Mr. Thompson had resigned himself to a life of suffering. When he came to Eric, he was skeptical, but desperate for any semblance of hope. Eric took on Mr. Thompson's case with his characteristic thoroughness. He began with a comprehensive evaluation, looking beyond the obvious symptoms to understand the full scope of the pain. Eric's approach was holistic, considering physical, psychological, and lifestyle factors. He combined cutting-edge neurology with innovative pain management techniques he had developed over the years. Eric's plan involved a multifaceted treatment regimen, including advanced neurostimulation, personalized physical therapy, and a carefully monitored medication plan. He also incorporated mindfulness and cognitive behavioral therapy, understanding that chronic pain was as much a mental battle as a physical one. Weeks turned into months as Eric and his team worked tirelessly with Mr. Thompson. Progress was slow at first, with many ups and downs, but Eric's unwavering commitment never faltered. He made adjustments, fine-tuned the treatments, and constantly reassured Mr. Thompson, fostering a sense of trust and partnership. The breakthrough came one evening when Mr. Thompson managed to walk unassisted for the first time in years. The look of astonished joy on his face was indescribable. He turned to Eric, his eyes brimming with tears. "I didn't think I'd ever feel like this again," he said. "Thank you for giving me my life back." Word of Eric's success with Mr. Thompson spread quickly. The medical community, which had once been skeptical, now saw Eric's methods as groundbreaking and effective. His colleagues, who had once doubted him, now sought his advice and collaborated with him on complex cases. Eric had not only regained their respect, but had also become a leader in the field of pain management. Eric's redemption was not just professional, but deeply personal. He had faced his own doubts and fears, battled through the shadows of his past, and emerged stronger. The journey had taught him resilience, empathy, and the true meaning of healing. He realized that redemption was not about erasing past mistakes, but about learning from them and using those lessons to make a positive impact. One evening, after a long day at the hospital, Eric sat in his office, reflecting on his journey. The accolades and recognition were gratifying, but what mattered most to him were the lives he had touched, the people he had helped find relief and hope. He thought about the patients who had trusted him, the colleagues who had supported him, and the inner strength he had discovered. Eric Park had redeemed himself not by seeking validation from others, but by staying true to his mission of healing. His story was one of perseverance, innovation, and unwavering dedication to his patients. And as he looked forward to the future, he knew that the path of redemption was ongoing, a continuous commitment to making a difference, one patient at a time. Eric Park's innovative techniques had begun to revolutionize the field of pain management, and their impact was felt far beyond the walls of his hospital. As news of his successes spread, patients from all over the country sought his expertise, hoping for relief from their chronic pain. Eric's methods, once considered unconventional, were now at the forefront of modern medicine. One of the most profound impacts of his new techniques was seen in a patient named Maria. Maria had been living with severe fibromyalgia for years, a condition that left her in constant pain and unable to perform even the simplest daily tasks. She had tried countless treatments, but nothing had brought her lasting relief. When she heard about Eric's work, she decided to travel across the country for a consultation. Eric approached Maria's case with the same meticulous care he applied to all his patients. He began by listening to her story, understanding the full extent of her pain and its impact on her life. Eric's empathy and genuine concern made Maria feel heard and hopeful for the first time in years. He introduced Maria to a comprehensive treatment plan that included advanced neurostimulation, tailored physical therapy, and a regimen of mindfulness and cognitive behavioral therapy. Eric also utilized his groundbreaking Neuromod device, which targeted specific neural pathways to reduce pain. The combination of these techniques aimed not just to alleviate Maria's symptoms, but to address the underlying causes of her fibromyalgia. The results were nothing short of miraculous. Within weeks, Maria began to experience significant reductions in her pain levels. She regained mobility and started to reclaim her life. The joy and gratitude she expressed were shared by her family, who had watched her suffer for so long. Maria's story was just one of many. Eric's techniques were transforming lives, providing hope and healing to patients who had all but given up. His methods were being studied and replicated in hospitals and clinics across the country, spreading the benefits of his innovative approach to countless others. Eric's impact extended beyond patient care. He was invited to speak at numerous medical conferences, where he shared his findings and inspired other doctors to think outside the box. His research was published in leading medical journals, cementing his reputation as a pioneer in neurology and pain management. In the hospital, Eric's success fostered a culture of collaboration and innovation. He encouraged his colleagues to explore new ideas and integrate holistic holistic approaches into their practices. The Department of Neurology, once a conventional bastion, became a hub of cutting-edge research and compassionate patient care. Eric's influence also reached the next generation of medical professionals. As a mentor, he guided young doctors like Lily Kim, instilling in them the values of empathy, dedication, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. His teachings inspired them to approach medicine not just as a science, but as a calling to alleviate human suffering. The impact of Eric's new techniques was a testament to his vision and perseverance. He had faced tremendous adversity, but his unwavering commitment to his patients had driven him to develop treatments that truly made a difference. Eric Park had not only restored his reputation, he had changed the landscape of pain management, leaving a legacy of innovation and compassion that would benefit countless lives for years to come. As Eric Park's career soared, so did the challenges and complexities of his personal life. Despite the professional triumphs, there was an emotional undercurrent that had been quietly building, one that would soon come to a head in an unexpected and poignant way. Eric's relentless dedication to his work had taken a toll on his relationships. Long hours at the hospital meant less time with family and friends. His closest confidant had been his younger sister, Rachel, who had always supported him through thick and thin. But as his career consumed more of his time, their once close bond began to strain. Rachel had her own struggles, which she often kept hidden from Eric, not wanting to burden him further. She had been silently battling her own chronic illness, one that she had downplayed to everyone, including herself. Eric's growing fame and the demands on his time made her reluctant to reach out, fearing she would be seen as yet another patient rather than his beloved sister. One evening, Eric received a call that would change everything. Rachel had been rushed to the hospital, her condition having deteriorated rapidly. Eric's heart sank as he raced to her side, guilt and fear intertwining. He found her in a hospital bed, pale and weak, yet she managed a reassuring smile when she saw him. "Why didn't you tell me?" Eric asked, his voice breaking. "I didn't want to worry you," Rachel replied softly. "You've been doing such important work." Eric was overwhelmed with emotion. He realized that in his pursuit to heal others, he had neglected the ones closest to him. The irony was painfully clear. He had dedicated his life to alleviating suffering, yet had missed the signs of his own sister's pain. Determined to make amends, Eric took personal charge of Rachel's care. He applied the same innovative techniques he had developed, tailoring them to her specific needs. But more importantly, he was present, spending time with her, listening, and offering his unwavering support. Rachel's condition gradually stabilized, but the experience left a deep mark on Eric. He understood that his journey wasn't just about professional success. It was about balancing his dedication to medicine with the equally important need to nurture his personal relationships. In the months that followed, Eric made significant changes to his life. He restructured his work schedule to ensure he had time for family and friends. He became an advocate for work-life balance in the medical profession, sharing his own experiences and encouraging others to prioritize their personal well-being alongside their careers. The emotional twist in Eric's story served as a powerful reminder of the complexities of being both a healer and a human. It underscored the importance of connection, empathy, and the need to care for oneself and loved ones, even while striving to change the world. Eric Park's journey was far from over, but this chapter had reshaped his perspective. He emerged not just as a brilliant neurologist, but as a more compassionate and grounded individual, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead with a renewed sense of purpose and a heart full of gratitude for the people who made his life truly meaningful.